It's refreshing to find a game that helps you go from 0 to 100 in the fastest way possible. A game that doesn't hold your hand and lets you become a badass right from the start. Now, when you think of those kind of games, I'm sure you think of Doom, Metal Gear Solid, and a bunch of other ones along the like. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm Taylor from Rough and Roll Media, and here's my review of Bright Memory Infinite. But before we continue, I just want to let you know, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because it's going to help me in the long run getting more videos out for all of you. Thank you, and let's move on with the video. Just as a disclaimer, I will be getting into this game and basically all its spoilers. On top of that, I'm not the best when it comes to names, so if I do mess up, I am so sorry. Bright Memory Infinite is a first-person shooter made by Zheng Zisheng, a single developer, and published by Playism. Now, I've actually never heard of Playism before, so I had to go and look to see what they actually have all done, and it looks like they've only done like 4 games. The latest one was in 2022 called Drainius, and it looks pretty alright, like a side scroller. So with a single developer making this game on his free time and a publisher that really doesn't have very much at all in terms of credentials, it makes sense why this game would really go under the radar. The game was out on Steam Early Access back in 2019 and left it in 2020. Then the game dropped on multiple devices, including Android, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation systems. I was fortunate enough to get this game on a sale, so I only spent like a few bucks on it, which it looked pretty cool, so I had to kind of try it. In Bright Memory Infinite, you play as Shelia, an operative that goes to a mystical land over the Arctic to get an ancient artifact. Now, if you think that this story sounds a bit boring, that's because it is. Story is not the game's first, second, third, or fourth priority at all. Most of the time, all you see is Shelia, and the only villain in it is this General Lin guy that appears twice in the whole story. Shelia, while she's a walking badass, has no character to her at all. It is a get the job done, yes sir, that's it kind of person. Now, normally, yes, I would take points off for this. The story itself is just utter non-importance at all. But I can kind of let it pass a little bit because I really there wasn't even the whole purpose. It just got me from point A to point B in whatever, the fastest way possible to get you back into the action. And that's really where this game really shines. Graphically, this game looks pretty alright. It definitely has like a early to mid Xbox One feel to it, so it doesn't look like anything mind-blowing, but it still looks pretty alright. I, for the most part, was like, I'm fine with it. You're in your whole environment is basically in like this marshy woodlands all the time. There's really no variation. So, in a lot of ways, it just kind of works for what it is. Your enemies look very generic. You have your soldier enemy, your heavy enemy, your sniper enemy, your shielded enemy, and for the most part, the future soldiers look really bland, but it's kind of fine. I mean, I guess I didn't pay too much of them. It's when you get these moments where you jump back into the past where you fight these ancient warriors, and they look pretty cool too. They are also very generic. You have your sword and shield, you have your sword, regular axe enemies, you have your bow enemies. You do have a couple special type of enemies, but they really don't mean too much. They're just bigger damage sponges. With Sheila being the walking badass that she is, nothing really does anything to her. She's never really fazed by stuff. Even your boss fights are actually pretty good. I did enjoy, there's really 4 boss fights, I think, 3 or 4 boss fights in this game, and I had fun with them. I mean, they pretty much were just bullet sponges anyways, but it's quick time, you have to move around a lot, and that leads into the gameplay itself. The gameplay in this is nothing less than frickin' dope. It's a first-person shooter, so you get guns. There's only 4, an assault rifle, a shotgun, a pistol, and a sniper rifle, but each weapon does have an additional attachment that can be changed at any time with the press of a button. The gameplay is responsive, it's fast, it's fluid, and you'll be surrounded by enemies real quick. They do give you a dash feature to go side by side with a sprint button that you can sprint while you're shooting, thank God. However, that is not all you have. As I said before, you have a katana as well. Shelia will slash her enemies with her sword, and it's super satisfying. By pressing Y when I played on Xbox, you will just start a flurry of sword attacks, and it is so satisfying in every way possible. By running and sliding, yes, you can slide in this, you'll be able to hit your enemies into the air and then leave them helpless while you just carve them up. On top of that, the speed that you swing your sword would even make Silver Chariot blush. Did I make a JoJo's reference? Yes, I did. Your sword also gives you the ability to parry ranged and melee attacks. Really, almost any attack. Maybe it's my Sekiro skills, but once you start playing the game and seeing how well you can parry, the game gets super nuts. Perfect parries will deflect damage back at the attacker, which is great as enemies with shields especially can pose a problem. The third weapon in your arsenal is actually a grappling hook. It works very similar to Halo Infinite's, but it also reminds me of Bulletstorm. Shelia throws out her grappling hook on predetermined spots to get around, but that's not the real point of it. Shelia can throw her grapple hook at enemies and pull them in. By releasing the grapple button, she will release an EMP that basically insta-kills every enemy in the game. The grapple hook wasn't even needed, but it's a great addition nonetheless. They all make the game feel fun and experimental, and it's when you need to take down a lot of enemies that this game just blows up. And every time it is so exhilarating. You'll get into a group of enemies and you just start mowing them down. Each one does have a health bar and a shield, but it really doesn't matter because with a combination of your sword, your grapple hook, your parrying abilities, and your guns, you will absolutely enjoy this game from top to bottom. My only real neg with this game is that it's short, really short. Like only 2 hours long short, but it works well with this game. Bright Memory Infinite is here for a good time, not a long time, and it works well for it. If you can get it on cheap, I would highly recommend it. It's a game that you're going to have a good time with. I've played it through multiple times. I've probably played it through 2 to 3 times already, and after you beat the game, you do get little bonus modes, so you'll get like different costumes and all that stuff for Shelia and her guns and camo and stuff. But other than that, the game is very straightforward. You have a couple missions outside of your base ones. So you'll have these basic fight, running through and killing enemies. And then you have a stealth mission. You have your car mission. They give you some crazy different sets, which I thought was super cool too. At one point, you're on a plane and you're fighting on the plane. And it's over the top. And from one developer, it's so awesome. Bright Memory Infinite is a fun time to play, no matter what. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and I'm glad it doesn't. This game is well worth the playthrough, no doubt, and for me personally, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. So have you ever played Bright Memory Infinite? If you have, please let me know. I would love to hear your experience on it, because mine overall was very positive. With all that being said, I'm Taylor from Rough and Mule Media, and I will catch you in the next one.